Hello. No, it's late tonight. I've had a busy day. Unexpectedly. But anyway, it's my daily reading number 317. And I'm going to read out of Quiet Mind, 1 Minute Retreats from A Busy World by David Koontz. Alright, this one is called A New Place. My favorite thing is to go where I've never been, by Diane Arbus. We've all heard stories of women and men who, after a long life of apparent contentment, say, marriage and family, or a long-time career, decide suddenly to leave it all. They quit their jobs, divorce their spouses, leave the kids, and leap. The outcomes of the leap vary from bliss to disaster, but one thing remains constant: the pain they leave behind. What happens to these people? Why do some do it while others, the possibility never occurs? I have no answers, but I have a suspicion that it has to do with a lack of diversity and newness. Years ago, I knew a woman who was married to a mean-hearted and violent man, a closet alcoholic who grossly mistreated her and their 5 children. They were poor and lived in deep, quiet terror. Nothing changed for years. Even though encouraged by others to escape her cruel life, she remained steadfastly loyal to her vows, dogged to her obligations. Then one day she died. No warning, no identifiable illness. There was never anything new in her life. Always the same, and most of it painful. No possibility of going where she'd never been. Her leap was into death. I'm convinced she died from a broken spirit. She was, I'm sure, convinced that she was doing the right thing, the moral thing. She was staying the course. In a way, she was a hidden saint. But the pain she left behind, the pain that her children are surely carrying yet today, that's what I noticed. The story encourages me, and I hope you, to go where you've never been, in an airplane or in your spirit, alone or with someone. Go to a new place where you'd love to be, and keep going to new places. A gradual leap leaves less pain. Today, take some quiet time to plan your trip to a place where you've never been. I was just speaking to a friend of mine this afternoon about something that was mentioned here, about people who stay in their relationships for years, usually for the sake of the children. For the sake of the children, but really, as it's mentioned there, all that's left is pain, because the children that we raise in those situations all along are witnessing unhealthy relationships, an unhealthy relationship. But that's what they grow up believing a normal relationship looks like, because they've seen nothing else. They may have seen something on television, but to them that's just fantasy. It's not reality. It's not something to actually strive for, because what's real to them, what's right in front of their faces, what they're seeing every day. I have a cousin that once said to me that growing up, well, as an adult, she only thought her boyfriends loved her if they argued and fussed and had jealous tendencies. And when they didn't, she thought that it was because they didn't really love her. And the reason is because that's what she grew up with. That's what her parents were like. That's what love looked like. And her parents did stick it out throughout the years, and I believe they've overcome a lot of those types of behaviors. So that's a good thing, but that rarely ever happens, and it happened long after their children were well into their teens, maybe even adults. So as the story tells, that's what they grew up believing love looked like. So unless you want your children to form relationships much like your own, because they believe that's what love looks like, you may want to consider taking that leap into something new. It's very possible to raise healthy, well-developed children while being apart and not being in your relationship. And sometimes it's even better that way. I know my children have so much love in their life because I'm not with their father. Their fathers have went on to meet women that they're in happy relationships with, which just brings more people into their lives to show them love. And that's a blessing. It's an absolute blessing. But unfortunately, so many people share jealousy and don't want their ex to form a good relationship with someone new and cause contention, and that's the opposite of what you should want. You should want your ex to form a loving, healthy, strong relationship in order to mirror that to your children. And it's also entirely possible to be very happy remaining single. I've done it for years. My children have had male role models come into their lives, not trafficked men in and out the house or anything of that nature. My door was never one of those revolving doors because it was important to me that the men I bring around were ones that would be good role models for my children, whether that just be a friend or someone I was dating potentially. So yeah, these are all just things to think about in relationships because our children are very, very impressionable, and you give up so many wonderful years of your life staying stuck in situations where you're unhappy. And you shouldn't do that to yourselves. You deserve so much better and so much more love. And the one that's waiting for you is never going to find you because you're stuck with someone who is making you unhappy. So how fair is that? How fair is it to that person who's been looking for you, right? And how fair is it to you? Anyways, that was a long rant, I know. I'm sending out love, light, and healing energy. Ask that you pay it forward and pass it on. And until tomorrow, peace. Later.